Welcome back, shop rats. It's another Talk About It Tuesday, and today I'm going to talk about specifically how I became interested in Mopars and, well, the cars that I like. So let's just watch the show intro. We'll see you in about 30 seconds. Actually, it's about 29.7. I'm Mike, and this is my car shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Cars Shop.
I kind of hate to admit this, but I didn't start out life as a Mopar guy. I actually started out as a Ford guy. And I got that sickness from my dad, who always had Fords. For the most part, he had a 51 Ford, I think it was, when he was in high school, red convertible. And most of the time growing up, he had a Galaxy 500 or a Custom 500. We had a Ford Pinto, and so Fords were always kind of around. Now, Dad did have maybe a 57 Dodge when they first got married, but it wasn't a very good car. It didn't stick around long. Wished I had it now, but for the most part, I grew up around Fords, and my mom was a Mustang fanatic. She loved Mustangs, always wanted a Mustang. So I just kind of naturally, not knowing any better, I picked that up. However, come along in high school, and of course I really started developing a passion and love for all things automotive. And for a brief time, I actually had made a deal to trade a 500 Motoski or Motoski snowmobile for I think it was a 69 or a 70 GTO, and I was all excited about that, and my dad got wind of that and put the kibosh on that pretty quick, so that deal fell through. And then, well, let's see, I was looking for my first car, and I had run across a Buick convertible that I was pretty keen on, but it needed a little work, and I probably wasn't going to be the best choice for me to go to college with. But what really happened was I ended up trading that snowmobile for a 1970 Dodge pickup basket case project, and it had a 383 4-speed, and it was a 4-speed out of a B body, so it was a long tail shaft 4-speed, and the 383 was out of I don't remember, it was a 383 2-barrel, so that was actually my very first vehicle, and it didn't have any doors on it, and it didn't have a box, and my plan was to fix it up, and I got the doors back that went on it, and they had to be welded on because they were cut off with a torch, and I got the doors on it and stuff like that, and I was searching for a box, and I actually found the original box for it in a junkyard. But before all that happened, something else happened, and I ran across what I thought was a 68 Roadrunner. Now, that was very interesting. It was red, and if I think of it, I'll try to insert it here. It was red with a black bumblebee stripe, and it had shag carpeting, and it was a piece. I didn't know it at the time because I was only 16 years old. But I picked that car up. I think I traded another snowmobile for that. I feel like I traded a Skidoo that I had for that, but I'm not sure. I had a bunch of snowmobiles. And that kind of started like pulling me away from the whole Ford thing and into the Mopar thing, because I started getting to know the product. So I ended up taking the motor out of the pickup and threw it in the Roadrunner and picked up an automatic transmission for it because I didn't really know how to do a conversion to put a stick in an automatic car. And, one thing led to another, and that was the car I was going to take to the prom, but the day of the prom, we took it for a test drive and burned out the transmission. But that kind of led me down the path of becoming very interested in Mother Mopar and all that she has to offer. When it came time to buy a car for my high school graduation, that was one of the things that my parents decided to do. Well, I was actually driving a 72 Ford Pinto at the time. That was my daily. Fast car, by the way. It had a little German 2.0 in it with a 4-speed, quite quick. But anyway, the stories I could tell, but probably shouldn't. We ran across a really nice looking 73 Plymouth Duster, and the car was gorgeous. It had the front, the vinyl roof on the front half, and nice car. I took the keystones off the Roadrunner and put that on it, and I was driving that car. It was gorgeous, and unbeknownst to me, I knew nothing about A-body frame rail rot, and very quickly it did the old doof on the driver's side, and it wasn't just a torsion bar mount. It was the frame rail itself was gone, the inner fender was gone, and there was no structural support. Now, to me now, no big deal, easily fixable. In those days, you might as well have asked me to do brain surgery, because I wouldn't have had a clue how to do any of it. Now, I later learned in the process of all that what I thought was a Roadrunner was actually a Roadrunner clone. It was a satellite, but it looked like a Roadrunner. It will always be a Roadrunner to me. But just to keep the legalists that are my friends, on the straight and narrow here, I do know that it wasn't really a Roadrunner, okay? But it's a Roadrunner. So another deal came along that a buddy of mine had a 72 Demon 318 3-speed car. And I was driving the Duster. I didn't know the frame was bad on it at that point. And I traded the Roadrunner for this Demon. I don't remember what the details were, why. But I traded the Roadrunner for that. And can't remember what I did with the pickup, but I got rid of that also. Anyway, so I brought this 71 Demon home. It was a powder puff blue Demon. Actually, I took it to my buddy's house, and we put it in his shop, and we were going to make a race car out of that. That was going to be our race car. But we were in the process of doing that, and I was fixing to leave for tech school down at Lincoln Tech in Indianapolis. I was enrolled in their auto diesel program, and that's when I found out the frame was bad and my graduation present was junk. So we did the right thing and stripped parts off the Duster to get the Demon on the road, and did a paint job on that car. We painted it red and with a diagonal in the back, and then it had a white stripe, and I think it was black in the back and red in the front, or black in the front and red in the back. I don't remember anymore, and I don't have any pictures of it. And the quarter panels were screwed on with sheet metal screws, and it was a mess. But we took the headers off, put the exhaust on and off of the Duster because it was loud, and quieted it down. And that was the car I drove to school. It had the 318 2-barrel 3-speed with a 323 posi. And again, there's a lot of stories with that car that I probably shouldn't tell at this point, but maybe someday I will. But let's just say that it was quick, and I had a lot of fun with it. One thing led to another, and I ended up having some issues with the Demon and had to park it. We don't want to talk about rear-ending a brand new Cadillac or anything like that. And so we did that, and I caught a ride back home to Michigan from Indianapolis, and I brought the Pinto back to school, and that's what I had when I was there. So I had that car. And then while I was there, I was working, and I think I actually ended up dropping out of school there at some point and just ended up working full time. And I started buying cars, so I bought a couple of Darts, a 4-door 72. I picked up a 70 2-door Swinger, and I picked up a 68 Dart GT, and that was bronze color car. So I had like 4 of these cars down there, and life wasn't going so well for me at that point, and I was living a little on the wild side, and it was starting to take its toll. So I decided to come back home and go to university in the local area and just kind of figure out where I wanted to head from there. So I had to get rid of most of those Darts, so I gave a couple of them away. I kept the 68 GT, and if I think of it, I'll put a picture in here. I ended up painting that car blue. we towed the Demon home, and then we towed the Dart home. I ended up trading the Demon back for the Roadrunner, actually. I don't remember what all happened from there. Oh yeah, then I traded the Roadrunner for something else. I don't even remember. I was always swapping and trading stuff. But the whole point, I don't need to give you my whole car history because we'll be here for over 100 cars. I've had quite a few. The whole point is Mother Mopar was always in the mix, always. And I ended up with buddies that were with Mopars, and I just never really ended up going down the path of other makes. I had a few. I had an Oldsmobile, and of course I had the Fords, and a few other things here and there. But for the most part, it was always the Mopar. So I was always known as the Mopar guy. However, I had some secret passions, and I had some secret loves that I really didn't let anybody know about, and really didn't talk much about back in those days because it would ruin my bad reputation. But I always liked fat fender cars, and I always liked the antique cars, and I was fortunate enough to be able to pick up a Model A, restored that car, ended up selling that, and then I was looking for a 40 Ford Coupe or Ford sedan, and even in those days they were quite expensive. But I ran across that 47 that I ended up buying from a friend of mine up in the Upper Peninsula, and I had my dream of having a fat fender car. Right after that, of course, I did find a 40 sedan, and I just had spent all the money I had on parts for the 47, and I couldn't swing it. But it was a nice project car, and I wished I would have been able to pick that up. But I've always had this what's the word? This hidden sin, I don't know what to call it, but I've always liked those. Not because so much they're Fords, but I mean the early Fords they were the best as far as I'm concerned, as far as body designs and so forth. And I always had a passion for them. But I have another secret. I have another lust. I have another hidden thing that only a few of you might know about. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. There was a time that I might have been able to afford to indulge this secret lust, and I think that window is pretty well closed now with what has happened in the car market with the Italian cars over the last decade or so. I can't even afford to buy a wrecked one anymore, but I've always wanted a mid-80s Ferrari, and it actually had nothing to do with Magnum. I'm not a big fan of the GTO or whatever it was that Magnum drove, but I really liked the Testarossa, and there was another one in that era that I really liked also, and it's always been on my wish list, on my vision board, to have one of those Ferraris, a big bright red one. There was one locally here for a long time I always just drooled over, and always hoped to get one. But I'm realizing that I am in the process of completing my 56th year, and that 56th birthday is coming pretty fast, and I've got to get realistic about where I'm at financially, what I have time and resources to do. And in order for me to even think about a Ferrari, I would have to sell several of the cars I have now just to get into one, much less the cost. I don't think I really want to invest six figures in a car. If things change, if prices fall, if income goes up, maybe. But that's probably one I'm going to go off the list. I pretty much now have owned all the cars I hoped to own. The only other thing I haven't had, I've had Hemis, but I've not had a 426 or bigger Hemi. I kind of like, my dream would be to pick up one of those big 500 plus cubic inch Hemis and put that in the GTS, but probably not going to happen. Although the prices on some of that are actually not that. I think we just saw one that was a 500. John, you remember we talked about it. 570 some cubic inch for about 14 grand, which I thought is way more reasonable than I expected. But that's kind of my automotive history. I didn't really set out to be a Mopar guy. I just kind of stepped in it, and it's always stuck on my shoe. So that's the smell around me. And drop down there in the comments. Tell us a little bit about your how you came to like whatever it is you like, whether it's Corvettes or Mopars or GM or fat fenders, or are you like me and have some, have one brand you really like, but you also have some secret lusts for some of those forbidden fruits, so to speak. Drop it down there in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. All right. Hey, thanks for listening. I like telling you the stories. I like sharing stuff with you. I hope it brings some memories for you up. Maybe help you remember some things you haven't thought about in a long time. So, yeah, we're on the Face thing. We're over on the Insta thing, / My Car Shop. You're here on the U thing, so you might as well subscribe and hit that bell. Ting! So you receive those notifications. We put on episodes every Tuesday, every Friday, and every Sunday at 7 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. All right, that's going to do it. Oh, yeah. I almost forgot. Rock!